Now with reaction to the Toronto Maple Leafs moves at the trade deadline, we are joined by Cameron Gaunce. And Cameron, let's start with Bobby McMann. He gets sent to the Kraken, to the West Coast. What do you think of that move and what the Leafs get back?
I thought the Leafs did a good job of getting a good return for Bobby McMann. He got a second and a fourth, as you mentioned. It wasn't the first that a lot of people hoped, and it wasn't even the 2 seconds that the Canucks got for Kiefer Sherwood. But McMann is having a career year right now. He had a very good year last year. So the Leafs are selling at a high. This is a homegrown talent that they were able to bring up from the East Coast League. Now they're able to bring him up this far to get to a level that they're now able to turn that into a second and a fourth. They'd scratch him for a few games. This was something that was clearly impending. So for them to move on from it was the good call. Maybe they were hoping for a bit more, but still, that's something to work with. Now what they're going to do with that is yet to be seen. But it was good for them to get some good value for a player that is having a career year.
We also saw Scott Laughton scratched this week and Brad Treliving making deals with Western Conference teams as Laughton now goes to the Kings. Do you like that move?
I like the move for the Kings. I think the Leafs, for me, should have kept one of Waugh or Laughton.
Okay.
They both are that third-line centerman that need to play around the 15-minute mark to show just how good they are. I personally don't feel as if Scott Laughton was given the opportunity to show what he could be as a player. They traded a first for him last year along with the prospect, and they never really gave him that runway to be the player they wanted him to be. Now they move him for a third, which could be a second-round pick, depending on the conditions of the Kings making the playoffs. But is that enough for him? It's a good move if you take Laughton for a vacuum within the season. Just the vacuum of this season, it's a good trade. But in the overall scheme of things, I think they could have gotten more had they played him properly. But had they played him properly, maybe they would re-sign him, and it's a whole different scenario. So it's good for them to move on when it's a pending UFA that they clearly couldn't come to terms with. But in the grand scheme of what they could have gotten based on other things, I think it's a bit underwhelming.
Underwhelming. Okay, well, the Leafs weren't really expecting to be sellers at the trade deadline this year, but here they are, McMann, Laughton, Waugh, all out. How would you grade Brad Treliving's trade deadline?
I'd give him a C+.
Okay.
I think he did well in terms of getting what he could have gotten for the players that were available. But it didn't give me, or it shouldn't give their fan base a real sense of what's happening next. Yes, they acquired assets, which they sorely need. Their cupboards are bare, and they were able to fulfill and stock them a bit. But even with these moves, I'm still not sure if these moves are going to be ones that they use as draft picks because they want to load up their prospect pool, or if they're picks that are going to be used to turn around as assets this summer to go pick up players for next year. I think there was two, because they didn't strip away any of the players with term, like an OEL, who they've scratched a few times, Oliver Ekman-Larsson, he has not been moved. So when you don't really attack the core, when you don't attack the term players, you're not really certain what's happening. Because I'm now going to be very interested to see how Oliver Ekman-Larsson handles this.
Yeah.
The Leafs clearly sent a message that they were trying to trade him. They were trying to find the best package for him, and they weren't able to do that. So not only did his team look to potentially move him, but he also now finds out that other teams might not view him quite like the Leafs do, and quite like he viewed himself. So that could be a hard thing for him to swallow. He's been their best defenseman this year. It's hard to argue that. But if he's going to continue to feel that loyalty from a team that was clearly trying to trade him, that's going to be yet to be seen. So that's why I think I have to give him a C+.
Okay, I'm sure OEL will be quite the professional moving forward. And Treliving does get back a first-round pick, second, third, fourth, and fifth. So the cupboards are filling up a little bit.